Oh, without really taking a look at the stats, and I think most of y'all know I'm never one for excuses, but there are situations sometimes that arise. And without having Kalen Martin, our team really struggled. Um, I equate it to you don't have Russell Wilson in a game, what would happen to the team? And she's very much that player for us. We're solid on and off the floor. But with that being said, we practiced well without her. Kind of understand that she wouldn't be able to play. She couldn't finish the game at the end of Arkansas State due to, just fatigue in her legs. And so going into practice yesterday, the team did a good job of understanding. Really practice, honestly, pretty good. I always grade practices, generally speaking. I gave our practice about a B plus. I said, to beat Western Kentucky, though, we're going to have to bring an A performance, not A plus, in order to do that. And they understood. Shot around pretty good, not phenomenal, but my tracking was basically on how would they do without their starting point guard, and kind of where would their minds be inserting Ariel into the lineup, keeping it with the starters that you saw. And I think there were times initially where there's some seeds of doubt, and they struggled at times. They were really apprehensive, and that kind of snowballed from there. And then that got compounded when Ariel went down with an ankle injury. And then we're just fighting, honestly. We're fighting. But hit the second half, the kids started to gain some energy, gain some momentum. I think they clearly understood they're good enough and deserve the opportunity to play this team, to put themselves in contention. And ultimately, we just honestly didn't have the reserves to help get us back at that point.
Will Kaylin be good to go for Saturdays?
That's the hope. That's the hope.
Just like fatigue, just wearing down.
Yeah, she had some. She's always had this. She's played with it. I think we've just hit a point now where, it's exponentially gotten tougher and tougher on her, and she just can't go. Can't go.
You guys did have, I think, 4 games in the span of 7 days or something like it was. So I guess that didn't help things.
No, it doesn't. Especially anytime you have a young woman who, honestly, this is something that she's been battling, and I don't say battling. She's managed it. We've managed it really well. We've managed before the previous trainer. We've done a great job, honestly, with Darcy. I think we've managed to this point. She's at this point now, but honestly, the year before, she was at this point a month, earlier. In my first season, she was at this point even earlier than that, to where it was really tough on her. But again, I'm still hopeful. I'm still hopeful that she'll be back. Regardless, we're going to have to figure a way to be able to operate, because even if she's back, you don't know how much she can or can't go. And it's my job to make sure that we figure out a way for our team to be able to continue to compete, because we're not out. We're down, but we're definitely not out, and that's what I like, at least. Now we've split with Western. I'm not sure what the other scores are at this point. Little Rock, may or may not be in a good place now. We beat Georgia State. Where does that put us? I need to take a look at all that as far as what that means ultimately for us. But I still think we're in a good place. What I do like about this conference, they seed 1 through 8. And really and truly, all teams have shown they have the ability to beat each other, either home or away. Arkansas State's probably playing the best right now, but they're also a beatable team. I think Lafayette showed that. I think that's exciting. I think that's exciting for us.
How do you compensate for, in her absence? Do you change anything offensively, or do you just run the same looks without Kaylin?
I think anytime a team struggles with leadership, the game plan doesn't change. The game plan stays the same. It's the matter of execution and the times where it gets tough on them. How are we able to kind of bounce back and come together? It's that piece of leadership that needs to come into play. And that's going to happen with timeouts and with other players being able to step it up and say, hey, guys, this is what's going on right now. Where Kaylin generally will draw them together and say, hey, this is what we need to do. It needs to be someone else, or I need to call timeouts to do that. But as far as execution-wise, that doesn't necessarily change. The game changes if you have Ariel starting at the point, because she's just more explosive. But that doesn't change our overall game plan. Mm-hmm.
So going into this game with Ariel, at the point was you didn't, you felt very confident that she was going to be able to step into that role, and because she's been very solid for you guys.
She has. And I think that's one thing that I talked about with the team. I think that's something we could definitely look to, that she's been solid for us. The confidence level in her was pretty high. I think her initial struggles, and she struggled last time, honestly, against Western Kentucky. I honestly didn't think it would happen this time around because we watched film. It happened early enough. I think that made it a little bit tougher on her emotionally.
Do you think your starters showed enough energy tonight in a game that they knew what mattered? They knew that if you guys won, you're in the tournament. I mean,
Our energy level definitely wasn't where it needed to be, and that was something that was addressed in the locker room at halftime. Not just by me, but they all agreed. The energy level. There was a particular player who said at one point, she's like, "Our energy level out there is gone." And I said, "Out there, right? We're talking about actually being out there in the game." She said, "Yeah, coach, we need to get it going." And so I really challenged them to be able to figure out how they were going to get it going. There's only so much screaming and yelling, so much yanking and pulling can do. At some level, it has to come from within. The pride has to come from within. And you saw that in the second half. Unfortunately, it didn't happen until the second half. It didn't happen in game time after I used up almost all my timeouts.
How much of a surprise to see that, though? I mean, given the stakes of the game and, the way you guys have been playing recently, to have, just that energy level not be there.
It was disappointment more than anything else, I would say. I was more disappointed. Maybe not necessarily. I wasn't surprised. I was just disappointed because, again, I'll say, it's not like we practiced terrible. We practiced pretty good. They clearly understood kind of where we were. But with that being said, it's not over. And I think the one thing about this particular generation is they're very much into shock value of things, I guess might be the word, to where until they're actually put in a situation, they sometimes don't understand the severity. They can't learn by watching at times. Sometimes this particular generation has to live it till they truly understand it. And I think that has a lot to do, honestly, with just the way things have changed with social media. It kind of desensitizes you on some level until you're actually in that situation. And so now that they're in it, I do believe that they're going to come back strong against Georgia State. I'm all right with where we're going to be for Georgia State from this after looking at this game. I'm comfortable with that.
So I guess you're saying you're going to fire off a few tweets tonight.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep it. I'm gonna keep it low. Keep it on my kids. Might just be some good old family tweets tonight.
Yeah.
May not be very many for our fans. I'm honestly gonna just tell our fans to come out and support this senior group. They've done a great job for me. They inherited me, and we've been there together through a fun, great first year of mine. Their sophomore year, some challenging times, and then now they worked so hard to put their team in place to be at this level where we can truly still compete and have an opportunity for postseason play. And that's still going to be my hope for this particular senior class as we move forward. And I really would love everyone to come out and support them.
And speaking of one of your seniors, Jasmine, tonight, she seemed like she played with a lot of energy off the bench.
She did.
She's understanding that, okay, this is the last homestand we have. This is the second last home game. It's now or never kind of thing.
For sure. And I think that's why right now I made the decision to play her early enough to give her that opportunity, because I think she deserved it, and she's been working hard. She changed her mindset more recently as far as what it was that the team needed from her, and I think I really appreciate that. And she understood. And anytime you have a kid do that, you're willing to go to battle with them, regardless of any mistakes she makes.
You said that you were okay, heading into the Georgia State game. How do you spin this game positively heading into that matchup?
I don't think there's a way to spin the fact that we got out rebounded. There's no spin in it. I think what they need to do is understand, taking a look at Georgia State and where we fell short, as well as the fact that we clearly knew from the beginning rebounding is what got us the win there at Western Kentucky, rebounding and finishing at the free throw line, and we didn't do that. So it's pretty cut and dry, taking a look at the stats.
When you look at the stats, too, I think they had 20 more free throws than you did. Was it just you guys weren't driving to the basket?
Correct.
Was it not being
Probably
aggressive
like
enough?
you, we saw a lot of just mid-half court action going on. Again, we went over it, and it's no different than what they did when we were at their place. We just did not stay aggressive. And the times that we did, we turned the ball over by over-dribble penetrating or just doing a poor job on any kind of ball reversals. They were getting deflection after deflection after deflection. I think that's clearly a product of, that's a place where we generally score is at the free throw line.
And it seemed as if, whatever you guys did so well in those last 10 games, that you guys have been not turning the ball over, out rebounding people, shooting okay. It seemed like tonight it all just fell apart. Getting out rebounded, not shooting from the free throw line. Shot selection wasn't there. What do you think that can be attributed to? Because that's not where you want to see this team right now at this stage.
I still go back to leadership and the ability for someone to pull them together and say, hey guys, settle down. Because we've hit some adversity. We've had, some mini runs on one way or the other, and they're able to still stay together as a cohesive unit. I think it's a little bit difficult when you see that person on the sideline.
Is Kaylin your strongest senior then? Can't Ashley do that, or can't Jasmine do that for you?
They could, but I think as a point guard, like anything else, or like the majority of team sports, there's certain people that teams look towards, and I think point guard play. And because of the way we play and what I ask our point guards to do, a lot of pressure. And again, I've signed 4 point guards. We've got 4 point guards. It's for a reason. I put a lot of pressure on their ability to be able to understand what they need to do as far as controlling the game on both ends, both on and off the court. During timeout situations, really and truly everything is in their hands, and that's what I attribute to the fact that we don't have as many turnovers, generally speaking, because I do. We're pretty limited as far as what everyone else is allowed to do on the floor, being able to bring the ball up the floor, things of that nature. And so ultimately when that does happen, and we lose that, it does hurt your team. Not that they can't, but that's not the role I've ever asked them to. So now I'm putting them in a role that they're not used to, nor is the team used to turning to them in that situation.
And then Anderson goes down, and the options are you're running out of options as a team. Was a little bit of a shock there. You think when she
that
went
part
down?
was tough. I can say that was tough because I knew Kendall Tejada just got here in December, so she missed 6 whole months compared to the rest of the team. I already knew that was going to be tough. Like, we've seen her flashes. I think y'all saw some of the flashes that she has, but she's got a lot of room to grow. We're grooming her this year mostly, from the bench. And I do believe she's going to be a great point guard for us at some point. As well as, Megan Breyer's been playing with a lot of nagging injuries herself in addition to Kaylin. She was just beat up. The kid just beat up. She has the ability to run both the 1 and the 2, but she needed some backup help tonight.
You've been here for 3 years now, and obviously, you've been with Ashley for that long. You've been with Kaylin for that long, and Jasmine. Do you consider those like your seniors? Do you feel like the direct pull towards them, like you really want?
I definitely have always felt like they're my kids. I think anytime you have an opportunity to coach a young woman for 3 years, that's even more than you have sometimes with junior college players that are transfers. So you have an opportunity to see them grow. You don't have to live with some of the freshman woes. You do to some degree that first year, but then you have an opportunity to kind of see them grow and to have this team kind of molded to their leadership styles and their capabilities as basketball players. And so for sure, I've got a soft spot for all 3 of them. And that's why, again, really for me right now regarding this game, I'm really more so looking forward to Georgia State. And I know that these 3 seniors are going to bring it because Texas State means a lot to them. It really does. And they're very appreciative of the fact that they're here, regardless of whether it was me, or Coach Fox before. They're appreciative of this opportunity.